2023 Nissan Z. I'm out here in Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas. Spent a bit of the morning on the track at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Didn't do any in-car there, but I do have a bunch of really nice footage from that track session. Did a bunch of launch control stuff. Really cool. This is virtually an all-new Z car. Now, I can't say it's completely new because the platform is the same as before, but I'll tell you, it doesn't feel like it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I wasn't particularly fond of the 370Z or the 350Z, and I can't quite put my finger on it. They just never did it for me. It's not that they're bad cars, they just weren't really for me. I was really optimistic going into this test, and I gotta say, this thing is excellent. So precise, so crisp. It doesn't feel anything like the car before this. It really does feel like it has its sights set on the Toyota Supra. Yes, that thing is more expensive because this one starts at right under 50 grand before tax, which is really reasonable for what you're getting. Now, I'm driving the range-topping Proto. There aren't many of these. I think there's something like 240 of them. And really the only thing you really notice, some badging and the bronze wheels, but it's basically the same as the performance trim. You actually might see one over my shoulder right there. Same color and everything. This one just has the bronze wheels and a few other details to make it stand out as that Proto version. But this thing has a twin turbocharged V6 under the hood, 3-liter. It's the same one essentially as the Infiniti Q50 Red Sport. Oh my God! This one I'm driving has a 6-speed manual transmission, which you love to see, I love to see, and it's really good too. Again, I wasn't so crazy about the last one, but this is just so nice. It pairs so well with it. But if you don't want the manual, there is a 9-speed automatic that's new and it's exclusive to the Z. It's not one of those things where it's a part spin transmission that's shared with the rest of the lineup. It has like a magnesium casing, which is kind of cool. It makes it a lot lighter. There's a lot of that going on. And this thing does feel very nimble and light on its toes out here. But all of that output is so usable, 350 pound-feet of torque, and it all comes online at just 1,500 RPM. But the cool thing is, one thing that sets this engine apart from that Red Sport is it has a recirculation valve. And what that does, it's actually borrowed from the GTR. And what that does is it keeps the turbo spooling when you lift off the throttle. It doesn't dump all of that boost. So it's right there when you need it between shifts. So if I downshift, throw it up, I mean, this thing is a menace, but it's very controllable, and that I very much like. It's predictable, but in all the good ways. I'm having a blast out here, as I'm sure you can tell. So now that we're taking it at least a little bit easier, I can talk about kind of the fundamentals of this car. Doesn't feel anywhere near as cheap as the last one. That was always a problem. Felt really outdated to me, and it was around for a really long time, so go figure. But this doesn't feel anything like that last car. Some really cool touches in here too. It's got these 3 gauge pods up here. You get a boost gauge. You can keep an eye on your turbo speed as well as a voltometer. It's very cool that you have these really performance-like gauges, and then the same goes with this digital instrument cluster. It's the same one that Nissan uses in some of its other products, including the Rogue and the Pathfinder, I believe, but it's got a separate screen that's exclusive to the Z, and it gives you that tack right in the middle, and then everything else, it's kind of what you'd hope for. This one does have a sport mode, so it's got this S mode button, and that does change the throttle mapping, or sorry, the shift mapping, I should say. So you can disengage that, and it just kind of mellows out a little bit, but when you have it engaged, it's that much sharper. There's also auto rev matching in this performance trim. Now, a quick difference between this one and the Canadian car. This is an American pre-production model I'm driving. It's got a 9-inch touchscreen. We're not getting that in Canada, only the 8-inch. I mean, to me, 9-inch Does it really matter? No, that's not what this car is for. It's for driving. I've barely looked at this infotainment system. I'm sure it's fine, but it's really not my priority. My priority is keeping my eyes up down the road and just tossing this thing into these turns. And it is so incredibly rewarding. Now, a couple other differences to note. The performance version, it gets 4-piston front calipers and 2 in the back, whereas the base version, the Sport, it gets 2 piston calipers up front and single piston calipers in the back. Does it really matter? I don't think so, not unless you do plan to track this car. And let me tell you, we were out on the circuit, the road circuit on Las Vegas Motor Speedway today. And I'll tell you, if you are planning to track this thing, yeah, that'd be a wise idea. It's just as chuckable and nimble as anything you could ask for. It really does have that same kind of vibe as the Toyota GR86 or the Subaru BRZ, just taken up another level. Because don't forget, again, it's got 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. And it's there as soon as you need it. I really do think that recirc valve makes a huge difference with this motor. Guys, this is a phenomenal experience, a phenomenal car. Check out for my full review on AutoTrader.ca/editorial. I'm hoping to get into one of these things back home too, so we could do maybe a little bit more of an extensive evaluation. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys later.